Because at home, you realize that everybody has something to say. And here at Unity North, we know that every single person sitting here today and those that could not be here today has something to say. And I like to give voice to that. And we have a member of our congregation, our worship team, who has a great deal to say. And I'm going to create space for that. Every time I see value, I'm going to call it out. Will you please welcome the value, the heart, the spirit, and the story from the land of Oz, Julie Boniger.
Thank you. And thank you, Richard. So yes, we're back in the land of Oz. And they say don't sing and speak on the same day, but I just love that song, so I had to do it. Isn't that beautiful from The Wiz? So there's no place like home. No place like home. No place like home. The 5 powerful words that transformed Dorothy and transported her from the land of Oz back to Kansas forever changed. Today we're celebrating the 10-week curriculum our children have been doing about the Wizard of Oz. The spiritual lessons in Oz are both timeless and ageless. We're going to hear from our kids a little bit later about what they've been learning over the last 10 weeks, but I thought we would take one more trip down the yellow brick road. The entire story of the Wizard of Oz is an allegorical tale of the soul's journey towards self-realization. From the moment she lands in Oz, Dorothy's goal is to return home. She's told of a powerful wizard who has the ability to send her back to Kansas. Little does she realize that her journey is not to find the wizard, but to find herself, and in that, her own power. And so she sets off down the yellow brick road, and along the way to Oz, she meets a cast of characters who help her on her journey. The brains of the Tin Man, the brains of the Scarecrow, the heart of the Tin Man, and the courage of the Lion all have to work in tandem together to complete her journey. But for me, it's Toto that's the real hero of the journey. He brings her to Oz, he's the catalyst, and in the end, he is the reason that she gets to return home and realize her power within. Toto represents the inner, intuitive, most animal-like part of us, our divine guidance system, our inner compass, our instinct. His playful adventure is not foolish. It's about trusting the wisdom within. He is loyal to Dorothy, and he always takes her best interest. Yet he doesn't ask permission, he just acts. Wisely, bravely, quietly, and instinctively. The last time we visited Oz, several weeks ago, we talked about the tornado, how in the midst of chaos, there's the eye of the storm, where you get quiet and clear. During the storms of our lives, we often have to take some sort of action. But in thinking about the talk today, it occurred to me, how often do we hear our inner guidance system outside of the storms of our life? When life is meandering along, status quo, things aren't good, things aren't that bad, do we actually listen? Do we hear the call of our next level of greatness? Or is it easier to ignore? For me, the answer is yes. I'm great in a crisis, put me out there, but on a day-to-day basis, I tend to fall asleep and forget the things that if I did them would propel my life forward. So how can we break our stagnation and still go over the rainbow toward our dreams? We embrace our inner Toto. So here's what I believe this little dog can teach us about following our dreams. Number 1, he lives in the moment. Toto lands in Oz and immediately accepts his new surroundings. He doesn't filter the strange new land through his old black and white of Kansas. Living only in the moment, he's able to accept Oz with a heart open and a sense of wonder. A good example is when he and Dorothy first start out down the yellow brick road, they come to a fork in the road. And it's here that we meet the Scarecrow. He's giving them directions on which way to go. Dorothy hears the voice, but she can't imagine who would be speaking. But Toto, realizing that in Oz anything's possible, as scarecrows do talk, runs up and barks at Dorothy. She looks at him, she looks at the Scarecrow and says, "Silly Toto, scarecrows don't talk." She is discounting present evidence that scarecrows in Oz do indeed speak, and filtering it through her old paradigms, thereby not seeing what is directly in front of her. Toto helps her to see something different, to see outside the box, and to see something magical, thereby meeting her first friend along the journey. Second, Toto has faith. Both at the Gale farm and again at the castle, the witch puts Toto in a basket. Isn't it true that sometimes our divine guidance system is covered, hidden? Are there witches in your life who try to block your divine goodness? How about the fear of failure? Or for me, the fear of success? Can't either way. Do you hide your light under a bushel? Toto, in both cases, within the darkness of the basket, takes a giant leap of faith and leaps out to a safety. He trusts that God and everything is working in divine order and he will be safe. But he has to have faith and take action. His lesson is that stepping into our divine potential, we must trust our instincts and leap. So here we are, living in the present moment, not mired down in our past, seeing the world in technicolor with the faith of a mustard seed, propelling us down the yellow brick road to our greatest and highest desires, and there's a roadblock. Or in this case, a beautiful field of flowers. Having come out of the woods, Dorothy and her friends finally see Oz. Brilliant in the distance, they begin to run through a field of poppies and suddenly fall asleep. How often, when we see our dream just within reach, we say, wait a minute, I can't do this. I'm not smart enough. I don't have enough time. There's no way. And we fall asleep to our dreams. Interestingly, in watching the film recently, I realized that it's only Dorothy, the lion, and Toto who actually fall asleep from the poppies, the living, breathing characters. The Scarecrow and the Tin Man are immune to their effect. So it is that sometimes when our humanness and our divine purpose are asleep, it's our heart and our brains that have to work together to bring us back into alignment, especially when we lack the courage to move forward. Can anyone relate to the poppy fields in their life? Anybody have a dream? It's just within reach, getting momentum. You see it in the distance, and either an obstacle comes up, or you feel the momentum and you freeze. You fall asleep. You back down. I'm going through my own poppy field right now. For the first time in my adult life, I am not working a 50 to 60-hour corporate job. I originally left for health reasons, but now that I'm healthy, I have a decision to make. Do I follow my dreams? Do I think outside the box of what success is defined as? Or do I go back to the grind at what society thinks I should do? Take a minute and think about your perfect job, how you would be spending your days if there were absolutely no limitations on time, education, anything. You have it in mind? How many people are doing it? Wow. Okay, you can nod out for just a second. For me, and once you put your dreams out there, this is the hard part. I, for quite some time, have had in the back of my mind, if I could do anything, I would be a part-time minister, traveling the world, nationally known speaker, giving workshops and speeches on how to navigate life's challenges, singing here and there, and have a New York Times bestseller. Not so much do I need. Thank you. These things incorporate everything I love to do. Speaking, singing, counseling, and, the money from a New York Times bestseller would be nice. But come on, who, me? Then, 2 months ago, I was asked to speak at 2 events. I had been writing a blog and suddenly was offered the position to be the exclusive blogger. And here I am on the platform of a Unity church giving the message. The momentum towards my dreams was rolling and rolling and rolling, and all of a sudden my ego at the ledge said, stop! You cannot do this. You are too old to go back to school. Nobody wants to hear what you have to say. No one's going to publish a book, let alone have it be on the bestsellers. So I fell asleep in my poppy field of doubt. I I didn't answer the emails saying that I would do the speaking engagement. I stopped thinking about the book that I had started writing. I put my seminary application on the back burner, and I pretty much did this talk 3 days ago. So I was in a stuck place. But last night I decided, until now, I am choosing to wake up. Not only have I now put into the universe those dreams, which is definitely scary, but I have a few hundred witnesses. I'm applying to the seminary tomorrow, and I intend thank you. And I intend to be accepted, and starting in September. I, last night, accepted both speaking engagements. I'm 75% done with my book outline, and so I'm moving forward. Thank you. Now, will I still get a traditional job? Perhaps. The point is, my heart is open to whatever is my best and highest without limitation, self-imposed or otherwise. So, what is it that makes your heart sing or fuels your fire? Is there a dream that you've fallen asleep to? Do not fall prey to your poppy fields. Wake up, tell someone, or a few hundred someones. They will hold you accountable. Walk to the edge and have the faith and leap. So now Toto's back awake, and his greatest lesson is that he has the ability to discern divine truth. The band of misfits finally reaches Oz, intent on seeing the wizard. They have placed all of their hopes and all of their dreams on this larger-than-life character to bestow on them that which they already have. But Toto sees right through the veil of this falsehood and bravado. He pulls back the curtain, exposing the great and powerful Oz to be nothing more than a mere human, a little man doing the levers as fast as he can, a human with no more power than you and I. How easy is it to give our power away? We do it all the time. We rely on experts when making decisions. We follow teachers and gurus, somebody out there who seems to have the secret of the universe. We seek validation from our bosses, from our parents, from our children, from our spouses. But here it is, the secret of the universe. No one outside of us has the power. No religion has the truth. We all have the truth inside of us because we're all one, connected infinitely to the source and to each other. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. And yet, even once the curtain was lifted and the wizard dethroned, Dorothy is still convinced that the human wizard, his balloon filled with hot air, much like his promises, is the only thing that can carry her back to Kansas. It is here that Toto finally saves the day. Following his instinct as a dog, a cat passes by and he jumps out of the basket, thus Dorothy having to follow him. It is only then that Dorothy finally understands that she's had the power all along, that she's already home. She's been there all the time. She simply fell asleep to the truth of who she really is, a divine expression of love in action. She just had to get still and listen. There are no coincidences, and this week, as I prepared my talk, my mother and I had an occasion to trust our instincts, to go to our center and listen to divine truth. Our beloved Yorkie, Annie, who looks exactly like Toto, had been dealing with heart disease for several months. The medications worked beautifully in the beginning, but over the last several weeks, we started to see her decline. Our animals are some of our greatest teachers. There is nothing like an animal to teach us about unconditional love, about living in the present moment without regret for the past or worry about the future. And they don't hold grudges. What's that saying that we wish we felt the way our dogs felt about us, or which we wish people felt about us the way our dog feels about us? So how on earth do you make such a difficult decision? Our biggest concern is that we did not want her to suffer. Over the last several weeks, we carefully watched her activity and demeanor. She'd have great hours playing, doing all of her tricks, and then times where it seemed she was emotionally pulling away from us or could be in distress. We talked and talked about how we would know when the time was right, and to be honest, we often disagreed about the timing. But then my mom realized, ask Annie. It was her decision, her truth. So we each had a talk with her, forehead to forehead, and asked her to let us know when it was time, when life was no longer fun. We got out of the way of our human need to control the situation. We had to remove ourselves from our hearts that just wanted one more day with her, and from our brains that were calculating the statistics on her good hours to her bad, and just listened to her. And she told us on Monday. It was time. She completed her journey. Her final gift to us was to remind us to trust our inner Toto, our divine guidance system, to become still and to ask, and you will always get the right answer. Having finally learned the same thing, Dorothy wakes up right back where she started, but changed at depth. We are given everything we ask for, but we have to ask at the deepest level of our being. Like Toto, we must listen to that still small voice. We must be open to the wonder of new experiences and see present evidence instead of filtering our new evidence through our past paradigms. We miss what's right in front of us. We need to have faith, the willingness to blindly leap out of the basket of fear and ego, knowing that we are safe, we are taken care of. And finally, to discern divine truth from the wizards in our life, those who attempt to distract us with their smoke and mirrors, creating separation instead of oneness. We are the wizard of our own lives. No one, no wizard outside of us, can fill the void, open our hearts, or give us courage. It has to come from within. We've had it all along. We just need to listen. We each have everything we need to make our dreams come true, and it's all within reach. One thought and one click of the heels away. Thank you.